If you look at the headline numbers for the North American ski industry today, everything looks fine. In fact, it looks great. Record-breaking visitor volume, $900 mega passes, and $2,000 weekend hotel rooms. But behind those numbers lies a brutal consolidation squeeze. In the late 1970s and early 1980s, there were over 1,000 active operating ski areas scattered across North America. Mom-and-pop hills with a single T-bar lift, a wooden lodge, and a localized customer base. Today, that number has plunged by nearly 60%. If you look specifically at independent single mountain operators, nearly 3 out of every 4 have vanished, declared bankruptcy, or been swallowed up. How does an industry that generates billions of dollars in annual revenue wipe out 3/4 of its independent operators? It wasn't just warm weather. It was a perfect storm of soaring capital expenditure requirements, an explosion in liability insurance, a fundamental shift in how ski passes are priced, and a real estate arms race that independent operators simply could not finance.
To understand why small ski hills die, you first have to look at the terrifying economics of mountain infrastructure. Unlike a standard business where equipment depreciates slowly and can be replaced incrementally, a ski resort is a capital intensity nightmare. In 1980, a traditional fixed-grip double chairlift cost around $300,000 to purchase and install. Adjusted for inflation, that's under $1.2 million today. A small, family-owned mountain could finance that through a local bank, amortize it over 20 years, and pay it off with single-day ticket sales. Fast forward to today. A modern, high-speed, detachable 6-person chairlift costs between $8 million and $15 million before you spend a single dollar on site preparation, electrical infrastructure, or mountain engineering. If an independent resort's primary lift reaches the end of its 30-year useful life, the operator faces a binary choice: find $10 million in capital or shut down. For a mountain doing $3 million in total annual revenue, that single asset replacement is an existential threat. And lifts are only half the capital trap.
Over the last 4 decades, unpredictable weather patterns have made natural snowfall unreliable across lower elevation regions in the Northeast, Midwest, and Pacific Northwest. To survive, resorts were forced to build industrial-grade snowmaking systems. A single high-efficiency snow gun costs upwards of $15,000. Piping air and pressurized water up a 2,000-foot vertical mountain requires high-voltage electrical substations, industrial pumping plants, and water storage reservoirs. Running a full snowmaking operation can cost an independent mountain $25,000 to $50,000 per day in electricity and diesel alone. If a warm front hits 2 days after you make snow and washes it all away, that capital is permanently burned. Corporate conglomerates can absorb a $500,000 snowmaking loss in December. An independent mountain runs out of cash before Martin Luther King Jr. Day. Even if an independent mountain manages to keep its lifts running and its trails covered in snow, it faces an invisible fixed cost that has quietly bankrupted dozens of operators: liability insurance.
Skiing is inherently dangerous. Gravity, high speeds, trees, and icy terrain mean injuries are guaranteed. In the 1970s and 80s, state courts historically upheld the assumption of risk doctrine, meaning if a skier hit a tree or lost control on ice, the resort was rarely held financially liable. That legal landscape shifted dramatically through the 1990s and 2000s. Personal injury lawsuits spiked, and courts began placing a much higher burden of care on resort operators, demanding extensive padding on light poles, trail grooming standards, and constant lift safety audits. The result? Commercial liability insurance rates skyrocketed. For a small mountain, insurance isn't a variable cost that scales down during a bad year.
It is a massive upfront fixed cost paid before the first snowflake hits the ground. When a small operator sees their annual liability insurance jump from $40,000 to $250,000 in a single cycle while operating on a 60-day winter season, the math stops making sense.
A single catastrophic injury or a single year with spiked litigation can cause an insurer to drop a mountain entirely. Without insurance, the gates stay locked permanently. While capital expenditures and insurance squeezed small mountains from the expense side, a total disruption of the revenue model delivered the knockout blow. Historically, ski resorts operated on a single-day ticket model. You showed up on Saturday morning, paid $35 at the window, and skied for 6 hours. The risk was spread evenly across the season. Then came corporate consolidation. Starting in the late 2000s, massive corporate operators recognized a fundamental flaw in the single-day ticket model: weather risk. If it didn't snow in December, skiers stayed home and revenue dropped to zero. To solve this, corporate conglomerates pioneered the subscription multi-resort pass. By offering unlimited access to dozens of global mountains for a single upfront price of $600 to $900, they flipped the industry's financial mechanics. They collected hundreds of millions of dollars in guaranteed cash in May and September, months before the season even started. Whether it snowed in January or not, the revenue was already banked. This completely broke the unit economics for independent mountains. An independent mountain selling a $120 single-day pass cannot compete with a multi-pass that offers unlimited skiing at 40 different world-class destinations for the cost of 6-day tickets. Local skiers shifted their dollars to the multi-pass. To compensate for lost volume, independent mountains were forced to raise their single-day window prices to astronomical levels, sometimes charging $180 or $200 for a hill with 3 lifts, driving away casual families and cementing their own decline. Here is the uncomfortable truth about modern ski economics. Selling lift tickets is rarely a profitable standalone business. Most major ski conglomerates do not operate as pure recreation companies. They operate as high-end real estate developers and hospitality operators wrapped in a ski resort brand. The mountain itself, the lifts, the trails, the grooming fleet, is essentially a loss leader. It exists to drive foot traffic to high-margin revenue streams, specifically luxury real estate development, high-end food and beverage, and proprietary property management operations. Building and selling $3 million ski-in, ski-out condominiums on land acquired decades ago gives them a massive cushion. Selling $28 cheeseburgers and $18 beers at 80% gross margins keeps the lights on when the weather fails. An independent mountain, by contrast, usually owns a parking lot, a 1970s cafeteria-style lodge, and a few hundred acres of leased public land. They have no luxury condo inventory to sell to offset a dry winter. When snow conditions stall, their entire business model stalls with it. The story of the vanishing independent ski resort isn't just about changing weather patterns. It is a case study in modern industrial consolidation. Small, single mountain operations were trapped in an impossible economic vice. Infrastructure costs that scaled up into the millions, fixed overhead driven by soaring insurance and energy bills, a subscription pass model that priced single mountain operators out of the market, and zero real estate leverage to absorb operational losses. Out of the 1,000-plus ski hills that once operated across North America, the survivors generally fall into 2 categories: corporate-owned mega-resorts backed by real estate empires, or nonprofit, community-funded hills operated like public utilities. The middle ground, the profitable, family-owned commercial ski resort, has been virtually wiped off the map. If you enjoyed this breakdown, hit the like button and subscribe. Let me know in the comments, did your local ski hill survive the squeeze, or is it another rusted lift left on the mountain? Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.